Hi, friends. This is James and Kara, and we are Kerouacs Cruising.
We are taking you on a journey, traveling the country with our dogs and finding remote places where the dog
And us
can roam free and play while we discuss life's growths, beauty, and some struggles along the way.
We recommend pairing our episodes with our blog at kerouacscruising.com, where we organize accurate information in an easy-to-follow format, removing all of the conversational goodies.
The link for this episode's blog post is in the show notes.
We encourage you to join the conversation by commenting where you listen, engaging with us on Facebook or Instagram at Kerouacs Cruising, or email us at join@kerouacscruising.com.
In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Sit back and enjoy the journey.
Good morning, friends.
Thank you for joining Kerouacs Cruising. We really love you guys and really happy that you guys support us. Please make sure you hit subscribe to our podcast. One of the things we're going to talk about today that's important to us because we travel with 3 dogs is a first aid kit for dogs. You know, stuff that you need when you're on the go, camping, especially if you're going dispersed camping, boondocking, way back out there, and even hiking the trails.
Living off-grid and living out far away from any medical assistance, we've kind of learned how to be self-sufficient, and I think have done really well at being able to avoid a lot of costly vet bills because we've been able to take care of issues on the go by having things on hand. We recently watched an episode from Dr. Andrew Jones' Vet Secrets that talked about pet first aid, and it's kind of sparked up this episode, and a lot of the ideas that are coming from our episode, I want to give him the kudos. They were definitely inspired by his, and we'll link his episode in our show notes. But we think it's important you can avoid, really serious damage to your pet by just knowing some basics or having some basic stuff on hand. So we kind of wanted to talk about some stuff that are not only good for your pets, but a lot of this stuff is dual purpose. It's going to be great for you too, or anyone that's in your party if there's an injury. So great things to have in the backpack on your ventures or even back at camp, so that once you get back there, wherever base camp is, or back at your vehicle, whatever it is, so that you can take care of whatever issues may have arisen.
And I think in our near future, we want to get a first aid kit together.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in that.
A dual first aid kit that we're going to have it so it's set up for dual purposes, dog and human. So you just have one bag for your needs.
If you're interested in that, leave us a comment. Give us your ideas, your thoughts on the matter, because it's something we're seriously thinking about putting together if you guys are interested.
Even if we just put a list together of what you should have, we're going in that route just for something that we always carry for us.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of these things are simple, and you're going to have them, and you didn't even know it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
So what do you want to start with first? Go ahead.
Well, I guess the most recent situation, a few episodes ago, one of our Bullhead City episodes, we had mentioned that we had gone on a hike with the dogs, and we hadn't been in the desert with the dogs, cactus desert with the dogs in some time. So we weren't really prepared, and we really regretted it. One of the things we strongly recommend is having a pair of leather, or here we've got rubber gloves, but something durable for your fingers, so that you can get any kind of cactus, especially the jumping cactuses that are like balls of just needles all over them. You can't really just pull that out. So a pair of rubber or leather gloves is really great for that. Get those out of your puppy's paws, out of your shoes. Sometimes those needles are so long, they'll go right through the sole of your shoe. So that's a dual purpose item for sure to have in your knapsack. But James, go ahead and tell the story about.
Well, we were in Bullhead, and we were doing a hike, and we were trying to find some like rock climbing spots that were supposed to be out there on boulder climbing. So we had hiked out there with the dogs, and halfway out, or 3/4 of the way out, all of a sudden we are just surrounded by jumping cactuses. And now the dogs went from running around to every 5 seconds. Now they're popping along because they have, they grow, and then the cactus falls. And then just walking by it, you can get one that clings to you. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. But we had been stuck in that situation, not this time, but even a time before in Tucson. Yeah. And I had a pair of winter gloves that really saved us. But somebody had mentioned to me in Tucson that you need a comb. Yeah. And that totally made sense to me.
Fine-tooth comb specifically.
Because then you're just pulling it behind and then pulling it out of the dog, and it frees them. I'm telling you, I recommend a comb, but you do need a pair of gloves for other situations. But gloves do work in a pinch, but one or the other, and that's important.
And the gloves will help with those little burdocks too. We've all had those stuck in our feet, had those stuck in between the dog's paws. Those are really, because those are spiny all over too. Those are really great for
I probably would put the gloves on and then use the comb,
absolutely.
really.
Yeah, because then you're stuck picking them out of yourself. Yeah.
So that's something that's really handy, and we've always managed, but it is when your dog is covered in jumping jackals, no fun.
Yeah,
3 of them.
for any of us. So one of the things, and this has kind of been a lifesaver, Jules is pretty adventurous. She thinks she can hop fences. It's a situation that we've come across a few times. Or even where we'll come up on a fence and Jules has already gone through it, you know, a fence that's down, and she walked across some barbed wire. And so she's got a big gash. She's had gashes in her legs before. So then there's a few things for that. I mean, first of all, you kind of want to be able to wash it out. So I think a saline solution is super important to have. So that not only can you flush out the wound and clean it out, but this is great for flushing out your own wounds, of course. If things get caught up in the eye, if there's some debris in the eye, your pet's eyes, the saline solution is going to be great for that. Did you have something you wanted to add on that?
No, it's really just all around good because you can, especially if it's in the syringe, when you're blowing out your eye or blowing out the dog.
It'll help. It help cleans it. Yep. So in addition to that, you want to be able to disinfect whatever it is. That's going to help some, but you know, you got bacteria and whatever in there. There's a few.
This is really just trying to get the dirt and stuff out. Really.
Yeah, the big stuff. The stuff you can see. So we like to have spray just because it's a lot easier when they're in pain to get it on there because they're fidgety and they're moving, they're uncomfortable. They always kind of get into a defensive mode. No matter how much they love you, they still act very defensive of their wound. You know, they trust you and they love you, but they're still cautious. So we like spray. You can of course use something that's like a Neosporin sort of deal where you can get it in there, but I really like spray. If you don't have that kind of an antiseptic, honey will work in a pinch. So if you're camping and honey's something maybe you have for cooking, using it as a sweetener for your coffee, whatever it is, honey's going to work. It's an antibacterial, it's an antimicrobial, and it's going to work like a Vaseline to help kind of cover and protect that wound. So if you put some honey in there, that's actually really going to help with that. Also with that is apple cider vinegar, and I'm going to talk about apple cider vinegar with something else here too, but apple cider vinegar will also work in a pinch, and I think it's definitely something you should always have at base camp. Not only is it great obviously for cooking, but there's a million uses with apple cider vinegar. If you have like gushing blood, which we've had with Jules before, some kind of blood clot, you can get it in a powder form. This is a gel form. I think powder works better. Gel is just what we have. You don't want the baby bleeding out. You don't want a big mess everywhere. You know, we're trying to get this cleaned up and get back on the trail, get back on the road, get back to wherever you need to get back to, and then determine if you need to get more help at that point. So
a short story, and not with this, I have a powder form also, like she just said. But Jules pretty much came probably an 1/8 inch from gutting herself completely.
It was really bad. It was
intestines and whatever, and she was sliced under her leg.
What's the scariest part about it? We didn't even know about it at first because she didn't whimper to us. She wasn't really limping. We just realized she was leaking it, and that's what brought it to our attention.
She had to have just chasing something right through the barbed wire fence, and it gashed her.
It was right in her thigh. It was
10 inches, and
really
it was
gnarly.
just raw. And I used some blood stop. We did bring it to the vet because it was serious enough. And I can't even remember how many stitches, but she got a lot of stitches, and the vet couldn't believe she took it so well.
Yeah, she
was
wasn't
crazy.
Not whimper. I mean, Jules is a beast. She handles pain like a champ. She's pretty impressive.
And some of the other stuff too is this liquid bandage. You know, I didn't put that on there because it was too severe, but this is good. You know, Norman, our other dog, he's had a laceration on the front of his leg, and we've used the liquid bandage.
Then this comes too in like almost like a nail polish kind of container, and I think that's really great for in general. Again, this spray stuff when the dogs are moving around, it's so easy because you just spray the general area and you'll get it. But like if they have a laceration on their ear or something, you're not going to be able to get any kind of bandage on that to get that to close up or to get that to stop bleeding. So having the little nail polishy stuff will help you get into that. Again, we just like to
We
be
have
able to
the
get
spray.
it one and done.
Yeah.
When they do get a wound, you want to have some blunt tipped scissors. So that you can not only be able to cut away the fur to really get in there and work on it and see,
And really
evaluate
see where the
situation.
skin and stuff is.
Yeah,
if you have to stitch it.
exactly. But you want to get the fur out of there so you can really get the space clean. But you may need it for cutting bandages. So the blunt tip is so that you don't accidentally stab the dog while they're being a little bit anxious and nervous. Again, dual purpose, human wise too. This is really great. Can't even imagine something like you slip and fall on ice while you're out adventuring and you crack your head open. You need to kind of cut your hair away to so it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Be able to cut bandages. So this is a dual purpose. This would be in your human first aid kit anyways.
And one of the things I would say too, also with these, they do say dog only on them, but these would actually work for humans also.
Yeah.
So in a pinch, you didn't have anything, the blood clot, the band, all that stuff, this stuff, the antiseptic, all works the same as the honey.
Yeah.
And the apple cider vinegar, all these things are great
Yeah.
to have multi-purpose.
Yep. All right, so you got a wound, you got it all cleaned up. Now you need to wrap it up. You need to protect it until you're evaluating what you're going to do, whether you're going to take them to the vet or you're just going to keep an eye on it and decide if you need to take them to the vet. Before we get into further, I think we should talk about the tourniquet because I think that is utmost important. And again, you got your dog scared and defensive. They're in pain. Tourniquet's a really good multi-purpose tool. Not only is it good if you yourself, are bleeding out.
Another dual purpose.
Yep, your dog's bleeding out. Tourniquet's going to work just as well for them too. But in a pinch, it works great as a muzzle to be able to protect yourself from them biting you while you're administering the care because it's going to hurt them. They're going to be defensive. You need to be able to work without getting hurt yourself. We don't need 2 emergency room visits.
And we don't currently.
We don't have a tourniquet. We need to get one.
A tourniquet like you can buy at a store. But there's many ways to make a tourniquet. I always wear a belt so you can make a tourniquet out of a belt.
Shoelaces.
Shoelace, something like that. There's this ace bandage right here. You can roll it up and stretch it out.
Gauze is something that should
a
probably be
muzzle.
a first aid kit. Yep, exactly. The video that we're linking to you in the show notes is going to have directions on how to use gauze as a muzzle. And because I'm not a vet, I don't want to tell you how to do it because I don't want you to hurt your dog. This gentleman, Dr. Andrew Jones, he's a vet, and so he tells you how to do it. And I think it's a great thing to know. I think every pet parent should know how to create a muzzle out of gauze or a piece of fabric.
Just pretty much anything laying around in a real pinch.
Yep.
So, and I'll talk about ace bandage, multi-purpose.
Yep.
But there's, this is maybe not an old style ace bandage.
Yeah,
but
I would not get one
it,
with these clips like we have.
If you're going to use ace bandage, it's multi-purpose for your dog. You want a self-adhesive ace bandage, and we had one. I gave it to somebody for something, but we usually do keep that on hand. This is a reminder
of what we need to get back on our list. We have not inventoried our first aid kit.
Because like the self stick, you just wrap it even around your finger. You could cut that, and now it's like a Band-Aid. Yep. So many uses for that, and so I didn't want to forget to mention that.
We've had situations with Bella once in particular. This was kind of funny. So Bella, I don't know what she did. She sprained her ankle or something. You'll be amazed at how quickly dogs heal. Sometimes we freak out because we love our babies so much and they can't communicate with us what's wrong. So we kind of go to the worst case scenario when if we just kind of help them along a little bit, their body's naturally going to take care of themselves. Dogs are amazing at healing. So Bella, she was limping really bad one day. She would not put any weight on her paw at all. So we had wrapped it in ace bandage. Mm-hmm. I think we had to run to the store or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And putting the ace bandage, it made her feel confident enough to start putting weight on it. So we knew she was better, but we wanted to offer her the support, like a temporary cast kind of thing. And we come home, and I don't think we were gone long. It was just a couple of hours. And she's locked in her dog yard, so she can't get in any trouble or anything, hurt herself. But her paw had swollen to like 3 or 4 times its size. We might have wrapped it a little too tight, might have left it there a little too long. So you want to keep an eye on it. when we took the bandage off and the swelling went down, she was totally fine with putting weight on it. So just in maybe 8 hours.
She was like healed amazingly.
Yeah,
enough.
in 8 hours, you know, maybe it was the circulation change or something. I don't know the science behind it, but she was fine after that. So little things like that, you don't necessarily need to immediately take your pup to the vet. Just evaluate the situation. And if it doesn't improve, then, you know, think about doing it. But a lot of the time you could be wasting, you know, hundreds and thousands of dollars for something that your pet is naturally going to heal on their own. Of course, every situation is different. You know, we're not vets, we're not doctors. You know, this is just what we have found in our experience. Yes. I talked about honey, using it as like a wound cover before you wrap it up. Vaseline's another good thing to have on hand for that. You know, if you don't have honey or you don't have the honey with you because it's a sticky mess.
The honey's like glue, too.
Yeah,
it really seals
true.
the wound.
That's true. But this is really great, too, for things like...
Dry paws.
Dry paws, chapped paws. Maybe the ground got a little hotter than you expected. Maybe your baby's got a little bit of blisters, or the other way around, ice blisters from playing in the snow. You know, especially if your dogs aren't used to being outside. We keep an eye on our dogs' paws, especially in the ice and in the heat. But our dogs are outside all the time, so their paws are very, I mean, they're like shoes. They're like leather. Their paws are so rough.
But when it is icy, they can cut themselves.
So this will help them to heal that up a little bit faster. Again, you'll be amazed if you pay attention. You put something like this on it the next day, there's almost no sign of it. So Vaseline's really great for that, and the same thing, of course, for humans. So bandaging it up. So, of course, you got Ace Bandage or that adhesive bandage, but before you put that on, we don't have any, this has been kind of a wake-up call again for what to add to our first aid kit. Non-stick Telfa is what it's called, or non-stick wound pads. You can find them Walgreens, Walmart, anywhere. They're everywhere. They're just little square pads. They're the what's on the inside of a Band-Aid. When you have a Band-Aid and it's got that little white square on it with the brown part on either side of it, this is the inside of that Band-Aid. And it stops it so that when you take the bandage off, you're not peeling off all of the healing and reopening that wound.
Basically.
Yeah. So this will, you take the shiny side, you put the shiny side down, and then wrap that wound so that when you start taking all the bandages off, before you put gauze on any of that, you want to make sure this is the first layer above the honey or above Vaseline. This stuff, the liquid bandage, will also work for that in a pinch. If you don't have anything else, the liquid bandage will help give you that seal. You're trying
to create that barrier.
Yes, yeah, something that's not going to rip off that scab. Okay, so then from there, pain relief. Now, dog CBD droppers, you can get them at most smoke shops nowadays. Convenience stores are even selling them now. Dr. Jones's link, he's got some CBD that he offers and makes that's super safe for dogs, cats. You want to look up and you want to know already how much you can give your dog safely. And CBD really isn't going to hurt your dog, I guess, without making them just completely
tired.
Yeah. But CBD is a great natural pain reliever. So now you've just had this kind of traumatic experience, you're worried about your pet, but you don't want them to be in pain. And that's a lot of the time what I think people go to the vet for, to get pain medicine for their pet. I think CBD oil is your best option for that. You're not going to have all of the issues that medications cause, like liver issues, kidney issues, and things of that nature. The CBD is going to be your safest option for your baby.
I will say, we very seldom give our dog pain meds, and we have collected a lot over the years just because they do heal so quickly. Norman has gotten prescribed painkillers. Jules has gotten prescribed painkillers. Bella, we have bottles of painkillers, and we usually just don't give it to them.
And our theory on it is our dogs are very high energy. They're wild. They really are. And the way I see pain for myself is it lets me know where my limits are. So if I'm doing something too much and it hurts, then I know to back off. If you give your dog pain medication, they're more likely, yes, that's my concern, that they're going to hurt themselves worse, jump up on the bed, leap into something else while you're trying to get them to heal. You literally can't have your eyes on everything at all the time. You can't watch and monitor them 24/7. If they're feeling great and loosey-goosey, they're more likely to re-injure themselves. So that's my theory behind it. You know, you think of it what you will, but that's the same theory I use on myself. It's I don't treat my dogs any differently than I treat our own care. So in addition to an antiseptic, you can also use hydrogen peroxide, of course. Having syringes on hand for that hydrogen peroxide to help flush a wound is really great. Again, you got a defensive dog who's moving around, squirmy, wormy. This is also great for inducing vomiting. So if your dog ate something poisonous, this is great on the road or at home. If they ate a chocolate bar or something, you're worried that you're going to lose them. There is a specific formula for how much you can give your dog to not hurt them, but will induce vomiting based on their weight. So you should know that for your dog. Just have that in the back of your brain. Just know what you need to do for that. Take a syringe, spray it in their mouth, get them to swallow it, whatever. And then if they don't throw up in 10 minutes, do it again. You should only do it twice. A lot of dog health concerns are that they ate something that they shouldn't. So this is a great thing to have on hand.
And most people have hydrogen peroxide.
Most everybody, yeah.
And you should bring it camping with you.
Yeah, I use it as a mouthwash,
Hiking,
so we just always have it. So that's super important. And again, dual purpose. With this, you can get rid of some of these other items if you don't want to have things too bulky, but I think you should at least have this at camp as your camping gear. Another thing that I think is super important, again, for people and pets, Benadryl. It's amazing what this can do if you're having an allergic reaction, your pup's having an allergic reaction, swelling of the mouth, tongue. Jules has gotten bit by black widows. This worked. I'm trying to think of what other situations we've had to use this in.
We've given it to Bella after bee stings and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Bella had a swollen face one time. No idea what happened. Benadryl.
There's just all kinds of things that they're going to get into.
Same thing for us. Yeah,
Benadryl.
You just don't know. It could be a poisonous plant. You have no idea what it is. This is going to help you out in that pinch. And then, again, evaluate it. The swelling goes down, but then it comes back up. There might be an ongoing issue. You should probably go to the vet. And, again, people, too. This also is
weight-based.
Yes, of course. Yes, it's very much weight-based. But Benadryl, if you haven't taken it, it's kind of known for having drowsiness effects. So for you, if you've got to drive, be cautious of what you use. But for your pet, if you've got to, leave them for long periods of time and you can't let them out to go out, we have family that does this. A little bit of Benadryl makes it so not only does it make it so they don't have to pee, but it makes them so that they sleep all day so they're not so anxious while you're gone. So that's a good tip in a pinch. Sometimes you can't control your circumstances. This is great for that as well.
And I don't feel you should give dogs Benadryl every single day.
No,
So it's only once in a while.
Again, the extreme circumstances. We've had issues over the years with hangnails, where they're climbing rocks or something and they end up kind of snapping their nail off. It's super painful. Of course, there's bleeding. That's where the blood clot definitely comes in handy, but you want to get that nail out of there. So even if you do take generally your pet to the vet or a groomer to get trimmed, I think you should still have nail trimmers in your first aid kit. I think that, it's been countless the amount of times we've needed to use these guys for the babies. A pair of just regular exam gloves. Again, you get these at Walmart for super cheap. We kind of dual purpose these. Not only are they good for, keeping things sanitized while you're trying to work on a wound on somebody or your pet, but cooking. It's a pain in the butt when you're camping and you can't really wash your hands effectively. Having some gloves while you're dealing with meat or whatever is kind of a big lifesaver.
We use them for everything. If I'm working on something, I don't want to get greasy.
If he's got to do a quick repair in the truck, it's really difficult to get black grease off of your hands while you're camping. So these gloves, I think, are a must-have when you're camping, but definitely you should have a couple in your first aid kit. Some of this waterproof adhesive tape. You just don't know what you could need it for. I mean, if you don't have like the adhesive bandages,
the tape can be used as a muzzle, really quick.
That's true. That's true. The tape could
be
used
for a muzzle.
Tape the dog,
not super tight.
You've got one of these ace bandages. You don't want to use these clips. You don't have the adhesive kind. This will help you hold it down. Gauze, whatever. This is just a good thing to have. It's pretty compact and small to be able to keep in your first aid kit. Tweezers, of course, for the cactuses, cactuses that you're not going to get out with the comb.
Small that's stuck in there.
Yes, and any kind of thorns or anything like that. That's always great to have.
So some stuff that we don't have on the table here that I would have probably in a toolbox is a pair of pliers.
Pliers. Oh, that is one thing I wanted to do.
And,
good thought.
You want to have a pair of pliers because we've had it 3 times. Porcupine quills.
We had a whole episode about porcupine quills.
the first 2, had to bring them to the vet, but the third one, me and my son were able to pull them all out, and we would have not been able to pull them out with tweezers or anything else.
Yeah.
You need automotive
needle nose pliers. Yeah.
And
make sure they got the little grippies on the insides, not the small ones, because you got to be able to pull those quills.
And they have to come all the way out because they're barbed. And you got to do it quick, one at a time.
Yeah.
And so
it's terrible situation.
you definitely want some of this stuff there, because we actually sprayed the Bandage stuff on it, and he was fine. He didn't go to the vet the third time. He didn't go. So
and that's another thing to keep in mind, because porcupine quills, they do have some sort of like a toxin in them. So you do need to monitor your dog very, very, very closely. If anything starts to swell, you need to go get an antibiotic. That's super, super important. That was one of the warnings we got from the vet the first time. I don't like antibiotics as a first line of defense because they mess up the gut microbiome, and I don't like to do that to my puppers. But if you need it, you need it. So I like to wait to know if we need it. But as soon as you start seeing redness, swelling in any of this, in anything you do, any wound you treat for your pet or yourself, keep an eye on it, just like you would do if you got an infection in your hand. If it starts to get red, swelling, starts to look gross, you probably need to go get some medical attention. So you just be common sense about it, be smart. Now, yes, if you got a serious issue, or again, you're trying to work on your pet, they're being too squirmy, wormy, you don't want them licking, you don't want them chewing at the bandages, we think this is a hugely amazing hack.
So it folds up super small.
So it's a version
has
of a cone.
Pad on it, and it's a dog cone for around their head. You can blow it up by hand.
Yeah.
It's super, super easy, and it's super compact when it goes in. And if you want to keep them from having, you never know, a gash like Jules has had, and you don't want her to lick it, you got to put one of these on until you can get to the vet, or at least get home, or even at home, just to let her stay away from it.
We live in a tiny house, and now camping.
It's a must-have.
Being in a camper, those cones are so gigantic, it's inconvenient for everybody in the house. This is so nice and compact. They cannot get to themselves, but it's much more comfortable, I think, too. They can sleep with it on. It's like a pillow. I think this is a great thing to have available, especially at the very least at base camp. And I think it's a much more comfortable option for your pup. And one of the last things I want to talk about, this was news to us when we started doing research for this episode. We learned about giving electrolytes to your pup. So maybe you had a really tough hike, or your pup just freaking out from an injury could have
dehydration from anything.
Yeah. And it was a super hot day. You didn't have as much water as you need to have. Whatever it is, you need to hydrate your pet quickly. You can give electrolytes to your dogs. You need to make sure there is no artificial sugars or artificial sweeteners and no sugar in it. They cannot tolerate nearly as much salt as humans can. So again, you should know the numbers for your pet.
Weight size.
We figure it's about a teaspoon for 32 ounces of water for our dogs that are 50 pounds and more. So you got to get the numbers for your pet. You do not want flavor. This is just what we have. The LMNT is our favorite brand for electrolytes. They have an unflavored that's completely raw. It has no dodgy ingredients, nothing extra, just electrolytes. So we're going to be getting a batch of that just so that we have some on hand for our dogs. We had a situation over the summer. It was super hot. We didn't have AC in Idaho and didn't think we needed it, but it was a stretch of 15 days where they were like
100
degrees. And so we were like, this will be a great opportunity for us to go. We've had this spot in the woods off of Lightning Creek. Those of you who've been following us for a while, you know about the spot where the water is like freezing cold glacier melt water. And we're in these thick cedar trees. I mean, the trees are gigantic. I mean, me and James together is.
You'd have to check out the episode.
Yeah, you're gonna have to check. I'll link it in.
The truck looks small.
The trunk looks like a baby. So it's super cool there. I mean, it would be like 71 degrees on a day that it's 100 degrees in this area. So we're like, let's get to these cooler temperatures so we can all play outside, play in the water. By the time we got there, Bella was in really bad shape. So I wish this was something that we knew back then. We're trying to get her in the water, trying to get her to cool off, trying to get her to drink water, but she was dehydrated severely. She ended up being just fine, but I wish I'd have known this hack then, so I want to help you guys.
And we
with
think
that.
just from being in the backseat of the car, we don't know.
Yeah.
So,
and so
she
you
just
can
acted
find,
weird, looked like she might have had a stroke, but she was fine
and
after.
If you get into a situation like that with your fur babies, where we don't know if it was a heat stroke, dehydration, whatever it was severe, it was really scary. You can mix some electrolytes with some honey, because that's going to help give them an energy boost as well. And the honey is safe for the dogs in small amounts, but you can do that. So that's a big hack. Now this one, I mentioned that I was going to come back to the apple cider vinegar. Bella gotten skunked, and it was terrible. It was so terrible. And I did some Google searching, and I saw that apple cider vinegar is great for mitigating the smell of the skunk spray. Basically, you just pour it all over the dog, do the best you can to saturate the spot that has gotten sprayed. Then you try to wash it with soap and water. Castile soap works great. Dawn can help too. And then it didn't alleviate it all completely right away, but maybe within a week she had
you couldn't smell it
at all. Yeah, so this is something, again, I think you should always have with you while you're out with the dogs. Have it at base camp. You don't have to bring it with you. Hiking, that's silly. You just deal with the stench until you get back to camp, but this could be a huge lifesaver for the comfort of the rest of your camping trip. Obviously, you don't want a big container like this. One of the things I want to recommend is you go to Walmart and they go to the travel section where they got all the mini bottles of everything, and you just get those little mini plastic bottles that you can fill with your shampoo and stuff at home. Apple cider vinegar, if you get skunk, you're probably going to need more of that, but you can do that for the peroxide and some of this other stuff. They got the little eye cream ones. You can put Vaseline in that. So that's a great little hack to make big things smaller. You fill it up at home, and then you just have your little go bag. That's your first aid kit for your puppies. What else you got, my love?
I'm just going to bring it up.
The towel, yeah.
Is because if something really bad did happen to your dog, and maybe 2 legs got broke or something, how you transporting the dog?
Yeah.
Towel does work. They have actually a smaller towel that you can just buy at like a first aid supply store or whatever.
Yeah, like
Walmart.
those, like they look like they're metallic. It's like an emergency
They're
blanket.
multi-purpose because I hike with one.
Yeah.
So, but a towel is important, a big towel. If you have to carry the dog.
Use it as a stretcher to help carry him. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you could even wrap the dog's leg in a towel to get it not to move. All kinds of things, but you should have some sort of towel. First aid towel is what I recommend because it's actually really compact.
Yeah.
So, but we showed you quite a bit of things. We got the towel, we got the gloves, the comb, peroxide, that
syringes and saline solution.
Yeah, with saline solution. A Ace Bandage, but the Ace Bandage, remember, you want to get a self-adhesive one. We got honey, antiseptic, super clot, scissors of some kind, but make sure it has a blunt end. Some tape. We don't have gauze.
Yeah.
So we're not showing you that, but you should have gauze, gloves, liquid bandage, tweezers, Vaseline, some pain meds, electrolytes, some clippers. And don't forget to go along with clippers is like automotive pliers, just in case. We were on a hiking trip. We were a couple miles in, and Norman got it by a porcupine.
Yeah,
so
we had to wait till we got home to do anything about it. We weren't prepared.
We had nothing to do anything. And then the electrolytes, non-flavored electrolytes, and we recommend LMNT, but all natural. They can't have sugar or nothing in it. Real electrolyte salt. That's it. And then the apple cider vinegar for the skunks.
And your inflatable cone.
And man, that seems like a lot, but think about it right here. You go camping, it's going to fit, and you can downsize a lot of it.
Yeah, and again, a lot of this stuff is dual purpose for humans and dogs, so it can be your all-in-one first aid kit. And some of this stuff, just make educated decisions based on your lifestyle, what you're doing, can stay at base camp. You're not bringing it with you in your backpack.
We hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather. We're in northern Arizona, and it's March and pretty close to spring break. We just keep
getting powdered with snow, you guys. It's been amazing. We woke up to 8 inches this morning.
Snowing.
And what do you see? Lots of mud. The sun came out. It's been beautiful, nice warm
45
day.
degrees.
Yeah, it's
and
gorgeous,
yesterday the high was 29 or something.
It's a great
Thanks for tuning in to Kerouacs Cruising.
We're thrilled to have you with us.
We had a blast recording this episode and hope you enjoyed our adventures as much as we enjoyed sharing them.
For more amazing pictures and stories, visit our website and blog at Kerouacscruising.com.
And join the conversation on Facebook at Kerouacs Cruising or email us at join@kerouacscruising.com.
We'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving us a review.
Your support helps us reach more listeners and allows us to continue sharing our travel experiences with you.
It's a generous favor that means the world to us.
Thank you so much for listening to Kerouacs Cruising.
Until next time, happy travels.